Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this month as we talk about vulnerability within committed relationships. We're going to spend some time looking at why it's so difficult to do, and yet what are some of the benefits of choosing to be vulnerable with our partner anyway? And then how do we create an environment where that feels like a safe thing to do with our partner? Vulnerability is a term that I feel like we hear a lot more often nowadays, and it's still one that can be something that's hard for us to overcome, to really fully embrace. If you look at the actual definition of vulnerability, there's a line in there that talks about you having to be exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed. And I don't know about you, but none of that sounds very appealing. I think I'd have to feel pretty motivated in that space to want to put myself in that kind of an environment. The thing is, we chose a person that we wanted to be in a committed relationship with. Likely because we felt like we had a strong connection with them, and a connection that many of us want to see deepen and grow over the years. But when we have moments where maybe we find that we have a thought, or we're experiencing an emotion, or we went through something that we just feel like we're not really proud of, or we don't really like about ourselves, it can be really challenging to want to share that with our partner. And that can be for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's because we love them so much and we are terrified that they're going to look at us differently after they know. Maybe it's because we can't bear the idea of listening to whatever judgment they might throw back at us. Or for some of us, maybe it's just that fear that when you look in their eyes, you're just going to see it written all over their face, that they're looking at you very differently now. We can in our heads come up with all sorts of reasons as to why being vulnerable does not seem like the smart move. So instead, as we're in those relationships, we can sometimes just tuck those parts away, maybe hide from them a little bit, try to cover them up, whatever that might look like, to stay safe, because we don't want to be attacked or harmed, especially not from the person that we've chosen to spend the rest of our lives with. The thing is, even if we're successful in that moment of avoiding the attack and the harm, we're kind of creating a whole different situation, because we're almost creating this distance in the relationship, where the person that we're with, we feel like doesn't really get us, or doesn't really understand, doesn't really know us. And it can be exhausting to keep all of that up, trying to hide those parts of ourselves. The other part that comes from that, of the implication, is that we are missing out. We're missing out on an opportunity to feel that deeper connection. We're missing out on understanding what it really could be to have all of those things about you be known, and have a person still love you and be committed to you. There's a different level of intimacy that can come from that can come from being vulnerable with your partner. The thing is, before that's really safe to do, we want to look at how we respond when our partner is vulnerable to us. Because we can say as many times as we want to our partner that we wish they would talk to us, but if when they do, they're met with judgment, or they are met with that look in your eye that makes them feel less than, then we're not really doing our part in creating that space. Now, I wish we had time to go right back into the 5 reflective listening skills that we covered before. I'd encourage you to go back and review those as well. But as we look at what we do when somebody shares something vulnerable with us, the next time your partner comes to you, sharing some thought or feeling or experience that they had that you can tell they don't feel great about, we have an opportunity to extend a very powerful gift in that moment. The gift of listening with acceptance. Utilize the skills that we've talked about in the past, where we are fully present, that we aren't peppering them with a bunch of questions, that we aren't hopping in with some judgments about how they are thinking or feeling or how they acted in a certain situation. In those moments, it helps for us to just kind of step back, use silence, give them the space to share. Use your reflective responses to let them know that you understand what they are feeling and how what they are sharing with you as well. And then give them an opportunity to correct you if you got it wrong. In those moments when it can feel really difficult, because one, sometimes we really do have some judgmental thoughts that pop into our head. Or two, we see our partner hurting and that makes us hurt. And so we just want to stop it, right? We want to convince them to feel something different. We want to minimize their experience so they don't feel like it's that big of a deal. But every time we do that, we become the people who are attacking and harming the person that we love so much. So instead, in that moment, let's take a pause. Make space for them to be able to fully share, and focus in gratitude. Being grateful that you are the person that your partner felt like they could share with. Thank them for taking the time to share that with you. It can help if we keep our focus in those moments on the goal being connecting with our partner, the goal being creating a relationship where people can know the other and be known by the other. Because those types of relationships hold a lot of power. And they hold a lot of connection and a lot of trust and a lot of affection. Now, for some of us, maybe we haven't always created a very safe space in the past for our partner. Maybe we find ourselves in that spot where maybe for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we made it really difficult for our partner to feel like we were the person they should come and talk to about anything vulnerable. And repairing can take time. So I would encourage you to consider, maybe it might be worth having a conversation with your partner, being able to sit down and acknowledge it. Say something like, hey, I feel like over the years, I haven't done a very good job of responding to you when you've shared things with me. I think sometimes I've jumped in and spoken up too soon when really what I should have done is just listened. I want to try to do it better. Whatever those words look like to you, if you need to have some conversations or apologies, whatever that might be, a recommitment to doing it differently. And then the key is, the next time your partner does come to you to share some feeling aspect of themselves, when they show that little bit of vulnerability, remember to take the pause. Focus on the gratitude that you might have for the opportunity to show your partner what a trusting and loving relationship can look like. The opportunity to be able to show them or extend them the gift of what it looks like to be vulnerable with a person and have them still be there by the time you're done sharing. I appreciate you all tuning in this month.